lie. Now, we discovered Monkey Fist Brewing Company when we took a trip up to Traverse City for our anniversary a couple years ago, and they do real good on their dark beers. This one, it's not my favorite cherry beer, but it's not bad. It's a tart cherry Belgian style ale. It's only 5.8%. There's no fun description on there.
So you can drink a lot of those too.
Right, you could drink a lot of them. It's clever because it is, George Washington's chopping down the cherry tree.
Do you know that story was actually a myth?
Well, maybe that's why it's a little white lie.
It's totally made up. It never happened.
Well, it's there's also not a lot of cherry flavor.
So maybe it stands true.
Yeah. So
he didn't chop down the tree, and thus there's not a lot of cherry in the beer.
Right. But it's good. I could drink it, and I do fully support Monkey Fist Brewing Company's beers. So I'm going to drink it, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
All right, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back after this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we are back, and we are inside the Weasley's kitchen, inside the burrow.
And Mrs. Weasley is doing everything that most moms want to do with magic.
Right, she's checking out recipes, cleaning up a little bit, whole bunch of books everywhere about how to do different things with magic that, like, a house mom would do.
Her dishes are getting done by themselves. Pots are stirring themselves. There's a clock that tells you what time you should be at tea time or feeding chickens. I don't even remember, but it's really fucking badass.
The one thing I loved about the clock is that there's one hand on it, and it just points to the different things that should be happening right now, and then it's got a spot for you're late. And I feel like my clock would always be constantly on you're late.
But I don't think you should be faulted for that. Because we don't have magic to do all the things we have to do.
That's true. That's true.
If you could do everything with magic, then you should be upset that you are late. Because that's your fault then. But I think this is a good peek into what it's like to be a wizard. We, as muggles, all wonder what it would be like to just be able to snap your fingers and get shit done. And it seems like Mrs. Weasley can do that, but she then had 7 children, so it's still chaotic.
So it didn't make it any better for her.
Right.
And while all of this is going on, she's still pretty pissed off at the boys, and they're trying to justify what they did. Like, Mom, they had them locked up. It's really terrible there. We had to go get them. And I kind of thought it was something to be said that Mrs. Weasley said, we had said to ourselves just the other day that if we didn't hear back by Friday, we were going to go and get them ourselves. But that's doing it ourselves. That's not you boys stealing a car and going to get them.
Right. And I think that does speak to not only the character that they were going to go get him, but just how worried they were that they were considering going to get Harry because he hadn't answered a letter. Like, your kid comes home from school and is like, my best friend! He lives with some muggles that don't really like him that much. And then the kid never answers him back. I would probably just be like, I'm sorry, honey, your friend might be a little bit of a dick. I don't know that I would immediately go to concern and think that we have to go rescue him.
Yeah, no, me either. I mean, if our kids came home on summer break from school and they didn't hear from another one of his buddies for the whole summer, he'd be kind of bummed out. Like, I'm sorry, buddy, maybe there's a reason. Give him a call. Okay, he didn't answer the phone. Well, I mean, I don't know what you want to do. We're certainly not going to go over there, break into their house, steal the kid, and take him to our place. Like, no, there's no place to do that.
Right. Like, she doesn't know him well enough to do that. If you knew the kid, like if he was your kid's best friend that you knew for a long time, maybe. But if our kid went back to school and said, hey, Mom, Harry didn't come back this year after not talking to him all year, maybe I would be like, me and your dad will go check it out. But even then, that's taking a lot of responsibility on yourselves just based on circumstantial evidence from your child, who is 11.
Right. Who is 11? Let's not forget this. And, the Weasley twins are a little older. I keep calling them the Weasley twins, but we're talking about the Weasleys. So the twins are a little bit older, but still, they cause all sorts of hell. So why would you listen to them?
And they didn't have any knowledge until they stole the car either.
Right, exactly. They didn't learn about Harry's predicament until they got there and then found out that he was actually being held behind bars and it was a literal prison.
Right. It was just maybe Errol was falling asleep on his way there. They had no idea. And it was also weird to me that he thought that because I'm guessing his owl actually came home every time. Because his owl, he didn't say Errol was missing. So yeah, I figured it was his fault.
While all of this is going on, Ron's younger sister walks down the stairs. It says in a long nightdress, takes one glimpse at Harry, squeaks, and runs the fuck back upstairs. And I thought that was funny because it's like, oh shit, somebody from school gotta disappear.
My hair's not done. I also did think it was funny too that Mrs. Weasley keeps piling food on Harry's plate even before they tell her that they've been starving him. And then once she's told that they've been starving him, she gets a little bit softer and then keeps going about her ranting still a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're tough, but if you're withholding food, then how dare you?
Right. You feed that fucking kid.
I would like to say that that's really just another sign of a good mom. I know whenever I go back home and I visit my mom and dad, they never let me, specifically my mom, never lets me leave the house without some sort of food. As if maybe I'm going to get lost or stranded on my way home and I just need that extra pack of Pop-Tarts or a random box of cereal, meat, ice cream, etc., etc. Anything she has on hand, she's like, here, well, you got to eat.
She also hasn't stopped buying your favorite brand of cereal since you left and you're 32.
Yeah. Yep. Just in case.
Nobody else eats that cereal, so you have to take it home every time you go.
And I'm okay with that. I will say as a 32-year-old man, I like just cereal. It's good breakfast. I just think it's funny that nobody else in the house likes it and she still continues to buy it because she loves you. Just in case, man. You never know.
That is a good mark of a mom. But then she rips into her boys, like a good mom does also. She tells them, oh no, you're not going to sleep. I don't give a shit how tired you are. That's your fault. Go denome my garden right now. Harry, you can go take a nap, dear. It's not your fault that they took the car out.
Yeah, it wasn't your idea, so you're off the hook, but these three are going to get punished. Well, how awkward would that be for Harry right off the bat? You just got there, she's chewing out her kids while serving you breakfast, and then says, oh yeah, no, you kids are screwed, you're all being punished, but the kid that you just brought over, who everybody's probably pretty excited to spend some time with, he gets to just chill out and do whatever. Like, wouldn't he want to go hang out with his friends? And as it happens, that's what he does. He's like, nah, I'll just stay. I'll be with them during their punishment.
I'm sure that there's a certain level of, buzzy excitement inside Harry at this point, too. Everything's happening, but also it takes a little bit of balls to say no to somebody else's mom. No, I'm not going to take my nap. I'm going to go do the thing that you think your kids hate with them.
I think maybe part of it was, I want to find out what denoming a garden actually is.
Right, because, we all know what gnomes are.
Everything's all brand new to him. We know what gnomes are, but why would you need to denome a garden? You could just, take it out of your garden. But as we learn, it's not so easy. And in fact, Mrs. Weasley has a book on it. A book by a man who she endears very, very much. Gilderoy Lockhart.
Smiles like $1,000,000. And he has the best advice on how to denome a garden, but the kids don't want any of it.
They want no part of it.
And she says, fine. This is like me, though. Fine. fuck yeah. Go out there, denome the garden how you're going to do it, and if I find one, then we'll deal with that, because it's going to be a whole other issue.
So we get out to the garden, and we find out how you actually denome a garden. Ron grabs one of these things, and it starts hollering at him, first off. And he's like, hey, don't worry. They're kind of dumb. You know, the denoming starts, and they all just start coming out to see what's going on. He takes this thing, starts whipping it around in a big circle and making it dizzy, and then just chucks it out of the garden. And they start hollering out to each other like, that's 30 feet. That's 45 feet. And Harry, as you do, feels bad for these little creatures that they're just whipping all around and chucking out of the garden until he gets bit by one. And it's got razor sharp teeth. And he goes, well, fuck ya. And he grabs it, spins it around in a circle and chucks it. And he gets like 50 feet. And everybody's really proud of him.
Ron does say it doesn't hurt them, and I think that that's a funny statement. Like, it doesn't hurt them, they're fine. Like, how do you know, bud? You're not getting chucked by your ankles 50 feet out into the field. Right.
That's something you commonly hear from, like, fishermen, too. It doesn't hurt them. They don't. Yeah, yes, though, it does. You're sticking a hook through the lip of another thing. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't fish by any means. I'm just saying you can't sit there and tell me that that doesn't cause pain. And, I mean, getting whipped around by your legs to begin with would cause pain. Not to mention, you're probably scrambling their brain when you do that.
Right. Now, I think they're probably dumb. They do come up to the surface when they know this is happening, and they do come back, even if it does hurt them. But I don't think that means it doesn't hurt them. I think they're just dumb, so they keep coming back, even if they get hurt being whipped out into the field, because they like the garden.
Right, and the whole point of whipping them around in a big circle is to confuse them so they can't find their way back.
Right.
But I feel like they're probably little resilient bastards, and they are actually just a little bit later here in the chapter.
Yeah, the gnome chuck-in doesn't really help.
No. So then we hear sound that every kid who has ever done anything to get in trouble and been told, wait until your father comes home, is terrified to hear. And that is the sound of the front door closing. Because Dad's home. So we finally get to meet Arthur Weasley. It says he comes home, he sits down. I'm assuming he's taken off of his boots or shoes, whatever he wears to work. Office, so shoes. And he kind of starts telling them about his day. And it was kind of odd to me that his kids are super interested in his daily goings on at work. Like, did you get anything cool, Dad? And he's like, a couple of things. We had one interesting thing, but it wasn't our department, so whatever.
Yeah, instead of being scared of him coming home, they were actually kind of excited.
Which is not the way it typically works. When your mom threatens you with Dad coming home, typically he's gotten a phone call and he's coming home pissed.
Right, and that's not the case here.
They love their dad. Not that any kid who's ever been in trouble hasn't loved their dad, but just like, they weren't afraid of him. They're like, yeah, Dad's home. Let's talk to him.
Mrs. Weasley makes a wonderful segue about how flying cars are actually super interesting too, and how her kids went out last night in the flying car. Which makes me think that she probably didn't know that it flew until last night.
That's a good point. I hadn't considered that. I know she starts chewing him out and he's like, well, yeah. And he says something to the effect of, I'm sure that guy who would be following the letter of the law wouldn't be able to be put in jail, but could have probably done himself a favor and told his wife the truth. So they're having this weird parallel conversation that it is totally about them. And she breaks it by going, you knew that loophole when you wrote that law, Arthur. Completely calls him out. What's more, is he gets the hint from her, and he's like, all right, I gotta chew out the kids. And he's like, that was very wrong of you.